My name is Catherine Kegakilwe Koofhethile. I have a background in immunology and virology, and I'm from Botswana. I was born and brought up in Botswana. I'm a research scientist in Botswana and also a principal investigator. So I do research, and this is HIV cure-related research. There are a lot of challenges. First of all, I studied abroad. I studied out of the country, outside the country. So my latest was in 2022 when I made a big decision of moving back home after completing a postdoctoral fellowship at Harvard School of Public Health. And I had no funding at the time. So I just took a leap of faith and I said, I'm going back to my country to see what I can do to help my country. So I moved back. That was one of the challenges, not having funding, but I had a good season. 1 year in, I was already putting my head in, applying for as many grants as I could, and I started getting all the grants that I had applied for. The challenges are, you're moving from resourced countries, labs, to a less resourced country. So you're worried about your competitors, your colleagues abroad who are able to conduct their research with the resources available. And you're moving to a space where you have to think about really basic equipment that you need to do the work. So those are like my biggest challenges, not having all the resources that I needed to conduct my research. What I'm currently doing is I'm studying what we call the reservoir. And first of all, let me tell you about the cohort that I'm looking at. So I'm studying adolescents who acquired HIV soon after birth or at birth, and they started treatment within the first 2 years of life, and they've been on treatment for a very long time. So I'm trying to understand why HIV sticks around in the body for a very long time, even though they are on successful treatment. So what we do is we assess what we call the reservoir. So the reservoir can mean a collection of latently infected cells. So these cells are very special because they're very rare, so they're very hard to find in the body, and they contain the virus that is potentially infectious. And I like to say potentially infectious because some of it can, we're not able to detect those that are infectious. So what we do is we look for the frequency of intact proviruses when we look at the reservoir, and these are viruses on a sequence level that are near full length in terms of size, and they don't have any defects. So once we find them, if they are present, we want to know exactly where they are integrating in the host genome. And there are two possibilities. So these viruses that are potentially infectious can go into active genes, which means if somebody was to stop treatment, viral rebound can occur. And then the other scenario is that these viruses can integrate in non-active genes. So that we're hoping that does not allow the virus to actually, rebound if treatment was to be stopped. So in this case, the second case, if we found people like that, we normally say they have a blocked and locked reservoir profile. And we're hoping that we can identify people that look like they have the blocked and locked reservoir profile, so that we can put them in an antiretroviral treatment interruption protocol to see whether they are functionally cured. SANTHE has been very instrumental in my career. First of all, when I started my postdoc at Harvard, I wanted to establish this cohort of adolescents, and we got the first collaborative grant, which really was important in helping me set up these assays in Boston, set up the cohort, and later in life, when I got back to Botswana, I got the SANTHE Path to Independence, and that has been very instrumental in helping me become, helping me progress in my path to becoming an independent scientist. And there are also other courses and opportunities that I've taken, advantage of, when they have the leadership courses, for example. I applied and I was, admitted in the course, and that helped me build my confidence in being a leader of tomorrow. I think I want to see people living off treatment. I think that's my dream. If I can see my research moving towards having people that are functionally cured, easily identifying them, having people that don't have to go through the burden of taking drugs every single day, I will be very happy. And also, one of my legacy is to make sure that I train the next generation of scientists. So I really take pride in mentoring other young scientists in Africa and in Botswana, of course. I'm so passionate about what I do. I think it's the best job in the world. It's helping people. It's not just personal. I keep telling my nephews and nieces that I don't make a lot of money, but I'm very happy. I'm very satisfied seeing that the work that we're doing is going to help people globally, even people in the country. I grew up at a time when I got to see people that had AIDS. I know people that have died in my family and people that we know in the country that died because of AIDS, and I don't see that anymore, which is great because of the fantastic treatment programs that we have. So I think the job that we do is amazing, and it's saving lives, and I'm excited to do what I do.